Welcome to Zoom and welcome to everyone here to the New Brighton Community Center. I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Tom. I'm the Minnesota MUFON State Director. And let's just jump right into our slides. Hey, that's a good place to start. Thank you, Joe. Everyone give Big Joe a big round of applause. Give Joe a round of applause for that stuff. He's saving my throat.
Eric and Tom are the ones that are doing good.
That's okay, I'm gonna admit it.
I'm having a bad day.
Okay. All right, so first off, we got to thank Bob Schultz. Bob Schultz is sponsoring the Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting costs $13.49 per month, or to sponsor our joke of the month is $10 a month. Or if you want to donate to Minnesota MUFON, please contact Jan Swenson right back there at jan.swenson.pioneer@gmail.com. But let's give Bob Schultz a big round of applause. He has been involved with Minnesota MUFON for so many years, involved with public access television. He's been bringing UFO and ufology to public access television for years. Bob's just done an incredible, outstanding work, and it's always a good. Is Bob online? Does he hear me say nice things about him? I hope he hears me say nice things about him. It'll be recorded though. We can play it back, so he'll know I said nice things about him. So, but Bob's a big, huge supporter, so we're always grateful to have Bob around. Thank you for sponsoring the Zoom meeting, Bob. But we still need and appreciate your donations to continue to bring our programming. So every month we're asking MUFON members to donate $5, MUFON guests $7. And that does include you on Zoom too. So whether you're a member or a guest, please go ahead and donate to us because it does help us. Even though Bob's paying for the Zoom meeting, we have other expenses and fees. So if we bring you that programming, we'd appreciate your donation. So again, contact Jan Swenson at jan.swenson.pioneer@gmail.com. We accept PayPal, Zelle, credit cards, personal checks, and cash. And as always, your kindness truly is appreciated. And bring a friend to Minnesota MUFON. So Minnesota MUFON has a new program called Bring a Friend. So your friend can attend one of our meetings without the need to donate. That's right. We will forego the normal non-MUFON member donation fee of $7 and let your friend attend for free, no charge, nada, if for their first time here. So each time you bring a new friend, someone hasn't come here before, that new friend can enjoy the meeting at no charge. It doesn't get any better than that. And if you're coming on your own for the first time, no charge too. I don't know if we catch that all the time, but you're here for the first time, never been here before, no charge for that. So I hope we're catching that for people. So bring people down. Hopefully it'll be worth the money. Hopefully it'll be worth the money they didn't pay for it. So anyways, let's see. So here's a bit of news. So Minnesota MUFON State Director, that would be me. I've been approached by a television producer regarding a new show that they're developing called The Outer Edge. So more details on that to come. Oh yeah, thank you. And for some of you who've been around here for a while, the producer actually saw our TPT segment that they shot here a few years ago. And so he watched that. He's interested in talking to me. There's a couple other people that he saw in the video that he'd like to talk to too, and I'll be letting you know who they are. And then there's some people that that joined after that I think he'd like to talk to. So yeah, sounds like a really interesting show. It's going to be part ufology and UFO investigations, part ghost investigations and paranormal. But he also wants to do behind the scenes stuff because he's done a lot of documentary stuff like Storm Chasers. And, you see the Storm Chaser show and it's like, oh, they're out cruising around and there's a tornado and they pull over and they get the things out. He's like, well, that's the part they put on TV. But the part they don't put on TV, he's showing some of the behind the scenes that because he wants to know what is the day in the life of a field investigator? What do you actually do? How, or he also wants to get into what called you to this? Why are you doing this? You're in this kind of unique, odd, not normal little field or hobby. And what brought you to that? So it's kind of interesting take he's working on it. So, I got an email from him today too. I interviewed with him about an hour and a half earlier this week, and he was really excited when he sent me that today. So The Outer Edge, he's not expecting a finished product until closer to the end of the year, so he doesn't want to rush it. And he's actually hoping to sell it to an actual TV station, maybe get picked up bigger than that. So he's got a host. So supposedly the host is a very funny guy, so should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. And of course, it's always a good time to log on to MUFON University. So all field investigators. Oh, you know what? That's the thing. The slides are reversed. So it's always a good day to log on to MUFON University. Because you can check your dashboard, read about MUFON University, take Astronomy 101, explore field investigator training, take professional development classes such as MUFON Leadership Style Assessment, Presentation Design 101, Public Speaking 101, Space Exploration 101, Technology, Computer Software Applications, and more. And of course, I've mentioned this before, they totally revamped everything in MUFON University, so everybody's got new classes to take. So you can't tell me, oh, I took all the classes. No, they redid them all, so you've all got new classes. So it'll all be more credit to you too. So you've got something out there in MUFON University to check out. And if you're not a field investigator, you can consider becoming a field investigator. You want to investigate UFO reports? Join the MUFON team and become a field investigator. You can work with us. How cool would that be? Wouldn't that just be the coolest? Okay, so. And MUFON, one of our goals is to educate the public. So do you know a group that would enjoy a presentation from Minnesota MUFON? And these could be church groups, book clubs, Lions clubs, benefactors clubs, Rotary clubs, science clubs, social clubs, Knights of Columbus, schools, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything, me and Mike Harris did one a couple years ago, I think for I think it was a Lions Club, and it was actually a lot of fun. We went out there and had a good time. So yeah, we certainly do that. No charge. So if you know a group that would appreciate a presentation from us, let us know. We can customize the topic too to what that group would be interested in too. So we're happy to do that. So. And of course, our membership. So our basic membership is $6.89 per month or $59.88 per year, and you get all these things. If you get the online journal, if you want the hard copy journal, tack on another $29, and you get the hard copy journal with these benefits. And usually I show all the memberships at once. We got a new membership thing that I'm going to show you too. So that's why I haven't split up this way. The enhanced one is $10.99 per month or $119.88 per year. I believe it gets everything that the basic does, but then all these other things. So. And our VIP is still $299.88, and it's got lots of stuff. The MUFON tumbler, MUFON stylus and pen, VIP member plan. And the new one that we've got, the researcher membership, that's $399.88 per year. It's got pre-orders that started at the end of the year, end of last year. Now it's open and running. Does not include field investigator manual or training. And actually, this isn't even the whole list of everything they add, because these lists go down further. I just didn't include everything on there. And so yeah, so the researcher, if you really want to get in, get the information, do your own research, we have a membership that is set up for you. So lots of different options. Find one that works. Excuse me. Find one that works for you. We'd love to have you on board. And of course, one of the things you get is the MUFON journal. So this is our current journal, images of possible alien artifacts, the Great Airship Flag of 1896 and 1897, and in with the new 2024. And actually, I was browsing through this. So this is a very famous painting. They've got lots and lots and lots of artwork like this in this edition of the journal. So it's very cool. So if you like the Renaissance, the art stuff, you like seeing UFO things in art, this journal has a lot of them in there. So it's just jam-packed full. It's a really good version of the journal. And this journal is all color. Our older journals used to be black and white, and you'll see one of our older journals in a little bit. That's a little tip of the hat to what's coming up. So I had a cool announcement coming up. But
plus, there's some down there back here.
is there some back there too? Cool.
To take home if they want to.
Yep. So see when you're only online, you miss that out. Jan's giving away free journals, and you're missing out. But it's okay. We'll still keep you around. So, anyways, so yeah, a lot of good stuff in the journal. And our monthly Skywatch. This is what's happening in January. On the 3rd and 4th, we had the Quantradrid's meteor shower, best viewing after midnight, but that's all gone past. So, and the new moon was on the 11th, so we just missed the new moon. And on the 12th, Mercury was at its highest point in the morning sky, visible just before sunrise in the east. And on the 14th, we got the conjunction of the moon and Saturn. On the 19th, we got the Ursay Minorid meteor shower, visible after midnight, about 3 to 5 per hour. And on January 25th, we got the full moon, known in the early Native American tradition as the wolf moon. And on the 27th, Uranus ends retrograde motion. So you can check out the all stuff like that on spaceflightnow.com or skymaps.com download. So, and this is included in the journal, but I just like sharing this with you so you guys can see what's that. Oh, okay. And to explore various MUFON membership opportunities or to become a member, go to MUFON.com/join. This is my big exciting announcement. This is my big exciting announcement. This is what I was tipping my hat to before, because I've had many people, and even one of those people's names is Tori Nelson, but many people have said to me, MUFON's got all this information. How come they're not sharing with everybody? Why aren't they sharing all this information with everybody? Well, MUFON is excited to announce the Project Aquarius Digital Library. Project Aquarius Digital Library. This is separate from a MUFON membership. There is a subscription, but so it's open to members or non-members. These are considered rooms, and most of the rooms are included. Well, one room is included free for everybody, no charge ever. The other 6 are included in the membership. Got all sorts of information. I'm going to tell you what they got. Let's take a look at what they got. So the first room, so MUFON's Project Aquarius may be the world's largest online UFO UAP research library, providing MUFON members, which is inaccurate because you don't have to be a member. You can be a non-member and still access the library. With multiple forms of historical printed materials like magazine articles, newspaper clippings, databases, photos, videos, interactive maps, donated private collections, any other type of media regarding the UFO UAP phenomenon. That's what Project Aquarius is all about. And MUFON spent decades bringing this online database with never before publicly available content anywhere, as well as historical, modern, searchable content. Without the cooperation of the worldwide UFO groups, private citizens, and many, many, many volunteers, this project would never have been able to come to realization. MUFON thanks all of you. And Tori, do you remember asking me about that? Do you remember asking? Yeah, why don't you give us this information? Now we're giving you all the information. So let's take a look at the first room is the Mars repository. So Mars stands for MUFON Archive Research and Reporting System. It's got over 6,000 pages of reports from 1967 to 1995. So there's a lot of stuff just in that one room alone. And then we've got the witness sketch gallery. So we've got witness submissions of over 7,000 illustrations from our over 135,000 report database. And that's actually very cool. I like that. And every once in a while we have cool sketches come in. So you can go through and look at all over 7,000 witness sketches that they've submitted to us. And the newspaper clipping gallery. So this one's free for everybody. You don't need a subscription to this one. So in the news clippings gallery, you'll find APRO files and APRO bulletins, and APRO stands for Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization. You'll find historical counts of orbs and general UFO articles from newspapers and magazines. This is public domain library, free for everyone, does not require a subscription. It's got thousands of articles. And this one's looks like from 1953. I think, I'm not positive, but I think it goes back into the 1800s on some of these, but you know, thousands of articles. If you want to go back and look at some of the history of ufology as it's been reported in newspapers and magazines, that room is free for you right now. You can go ahead and check that out. The next room, the MUFON journal. So we've got the historical journal collection. See, the journal used to look like this, usually black and white like this, and Jan's got some other ones that they got actually photographs, but they've got all MUFON journals from 1967 to 2010, which that threw me off because we were founded in 1969 and we've got them from 1967. So I'm not sure, and I double checked it. It's listed as 1967 in 2 different places. So I'm guessing that number's accurate, but how that jives with when we were founded, I'm not clear on that exactly, but that's what they're saying. So, and it's through 2010. They're going to continue adding the current journals. So you'll be able to you'll get the more current journals coming too, but that's what they've got in the historical journal collection at this time. So, and what's the next room? The collection of private researchers. So private researchers collections will launch in stages. They've currently got collections will include Bob Pratt, this guy here on the left, and Colonel Edward Ruppelt. So he was from Project Blue Book. So you're going to get his private collection is in there. And this is Leonard Stringfield. Minnesota MUFON's very own Craig Lang's collection is going to be put in here, so we've got to get them the documentation. But the plan is to get Craig Lang's collection of all his research and documentation in here for researchers worldwide. So we're going to keep adding people's collections in there. So just, I mean, how much information are we going to have? It's just you know, unbelievable. So. And the historic symposium proceedings. So MUFON has symposiums going back to 1971. Every time we do a symposium, we have the proceedings book, the little manual or journal or whatever. We've got all of the journals or the proceedings from 1971 through 2002. So we're going to be updating them as well. But yeah, more current journals to be added in the future. But if you want to see what we had at the symposiums back then. So Terry, you were always asking me, where's the history? Where's the history? You can probably use some of this for some of the history you're working on, I bet. So that's why I was like, I bet you're going to like this. I bet you're going to like this. So. Lots of MUFON symposium proceedings from all the way back then. So, and and the UFO reports map. So we've got a multi-level interactive UFO map, including MUFON sightings, as well as reports from other UFO UAP reporting organizations from around the world. Now this map is actually from UFO Stalker. I don't know for sure that Stalker is going to be in it, but we've done so much with Stalker in the past. I can't see us not having UFO Stalker in it, but we're going to have interactive UFO report map. So that's, I mean, how cool is that from not just MUFON, not just UFO Stalker, but all these other organizations. So just, you know, so much information. You can just geek out forever on it. So Project Aquarius library card, you can buy this at MUFON.com, the store. They say it's $100 and it's on sale for 50. And I probably need to question them about that because I've been hearing it's $50, $50, $50. I never heard it was $100 on sale for 50. So maybe that's just kind of like entice you to buy. I'm just being transparent and honest for what I know. As I understand it, it's $50. $50 gets you a whole year's worth. $50 for a whole year. So it's less than $1 a week. Less than $1 a week, you get access to all 7 of them. Well, for nothing, you get access to the one room. But for less than $1 a week, you get access to all 7 of them, all that information. So just so much. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's really cool. And people like Tori who want to know stuff, want to dig into stuff, wants to know all the stuff that MUFON knows. We're giving it. Now I'm with Tori on the spot. Tori, for $50, does it sound like we're going to give you your money's worth for all the stuff that we're going to give you? Yeah, Tori's nodding his head yes, and Tori's not a negative guy. I'm not saying he's a negative guy, but he's going, yeah, that would kind of satisfy what he's looking for. So because he's just that researcher, he's looking for more information, and this has got plenty of information, and we're only going to be adding more. We're going to be adding our MJ12 files and some other files too. So yeah, so if you're interested, you can get that. Go to MUFON.com, go to the store right now, and they've got that on sale for $50 for a year's subscription. So check it out. And so are you a Minnesota MUFON member? Are you interested in participating in Minnesota MUFON in a bigger way? Are you interested in working closer with the Minnesota MUFON leadership? Do you have some technology experience or would you like some? Are you a people person? Minnesota MUFON is looking for a few volunteers to support us with various tasks. You can help make Minnesota MUFON an even better chapter. Interested parties can speak to me or email me at mufontom@epcoachtom.com for more details. And I'll mention a couple of the volunteer positions as I get into some of my other announcements. So. Our symposium, the 2024 MUFON International Symposium, the Battle for UFO Transparency, is taking place in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Irving, Texas, July 8th or July 11th through the 14th at the Airport Marriott. So save that date. Speakers to be announced soon. Registration opens on February 2024, so opening soon. And it says 11th through the 14th, but if you're involved with MUFON, you know, like if you're a field investigator training is usually like the day before. There's like other meetings before that. So if I get down there, I'm probably going to be in meetings through, I'm going to guess like the 9th or 10th through the 14th, because there'll be other stuff happening there. So there's so much stuff at the symposiums. And it's great too, because it does draw people from around the world. So if you like meeting people from across the world, different cultures, and see what their experience is like, very cool, great opportunity to do that. So I definitely recommend you checking it out, because the theme this year is the battle for UFO transparency. We're gonna get that light right on the Capitol. Yeah, let's find out what they know. Let's get to the bottom of this. What are they hiding in there? So let's find out. So the MUFON Symposium Fund. So MUFON requires chapter representation at the annual symposium. So our board of directors elected to establish a fund to send a representative, and to donate to that fund, please contact Jan Swenson at jan.swenson.pioneer@gmail.com. And as always, Minnesota MUFON appreciates your donations. I can't say that enough or sincerely enough, because we really do. Because Minnesota, you guys have been so generous for us for everything we needed and stuff. You guys continually step up and step up and step up. I couldn't ask for more. I mean, obviously I'm asking for more, but you know, other than that, I couldn't ask for more, because you guys have been so good to us. We certainly do appreciate that. And MUFON, I'd like to thank all the people who've donated in the past few months, because really you guys have been just fantastic. So thank you so much for that. And our membership, remember last month we hit our record. We're at 98. Oh, and we dropped down to 1. So our record was what was it, 97 or something over here? Yeah, 97 down in November 2021. We finally broke it last month, and we dropped 1. So we're back down to 97. We're going to hit that triple digit someday. I'm bound to hit that. I'm working on it. I want to see that triple digit. And I was talking to Jared, the assistant state director, a few days ago. He's like, you know what? I think I got the people joining. We might hit that triple digit this month. I'm like, maybe not. And not quite, but we're getting close there. We're solidly, I mean, if you look back, we're solidly over the 70s. We were back in the 70s back in 2018, 2019. We're back up into the 90s. We're going to hit that triple digits. I just feel it. I feel it's going to happen. So let's make that happen. And so if you need to contact me, you can reach me by email at mufontom@epcoachtom.com. You can also check out the Minnesota MUFON website at www.northlandmufon.com. And of course, don't forget to check out the global website at www.mufon.com. And speaking of Northland MUFON, okay, this is what it looks like. This is Northland MUFON. It's a UFO research and discovery. This is what the site looks like. It's kind of a collaboration between North Dakota and Minnesota. So it's the Northland. It's not really either state. It's a combination of both. So you'll find on this website, you're going to find information about North Dakota, some of their meetings. You're going to find about Minnesota meetings that are happening in the northern part of the state, and you'll find out about meetings that are happening down here in the Twin Cities area. So they're really kind of combining lots of stuff, and they're doing a lot of cool things with it. And the assistant state director, Jared Nelson, he's doing a lot of cool work on that. So, and Anna Scott, the North Dakota state director, she's working on it too, contributing a lot of stuff. So that's very cool. And of course, Northland MUFON is looking for more content. So if you'd like to contribute an article, a story, post pictures of an ET close-up and personal, perhaps you have suggestions on what you think should be on the website, please let us know. The site will only be as good as we make it. So together we can make it one of the premier websites for ufology out there. So contact northlandmufoninfo@gmail.com, or you can contact Jared at mnmufonjair@yahoo.com. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, everyone's been waiting for the joke of the month. The joke of the month. I'm trying to remember if I picked a good one this year or this month. I think I picked a good one. Yeah, you might get it. This one's a gettable one. So it's the Star Wars edition. Doing another Star Wars joke. It's brought to you by MarsCon 2024. Shh, that's classified. It's March 8th through the 10th, 2024 at the Hilton Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, Mall of America, 3800 American Boulevard, East in Bloomington. What's MarsCon? MarsCon is a fan-run science fiction convention for all ages, held every March in the Twin Cities area. At MarsCon, you're going to find panel discussions, gaming, parties, guest of honor presentations, music of many kinds, an art show, a film anime room, a science room, a dealer's room, a charity auction, and a masquerade. But wait, there's more! Their Con comedy music track attracts performers and listeners from across the country. It's a veritable smorgasbord of sci-fi fun and adventure. Various ticket packages available. So go to marscon.org 2024 for all the details, but keep it quiet. It's classified. Okay, so now for our joke of the month. How does Darth Vader like his toast? Oh man, did I I used this one before on the dark side. They got it right off the bat on the dark side. I was wondering, did I use this one before or no?
I think it was too easy.
It was too easy. I had another one that was like a little bit harder. I'm like, would they get that one? The dark side one's kind of funny. So I'll go with the dark side one. So, okay, so let's see. So if you'd like to sponsor the Minnesota MUFON Joke of the Month or submit a joke of the month. Last month we used one of Tori's jokes. Submit a joke of the month. Submit your request to MUFONTom at epcoachtom.com. And I just may use your joke as the joke of the month. So. Okay, so now we're getting to the year in review. But before we do that, I have a whole bunch of other announcements to do. So MUFON's mission is the scientific study of UFOs for the benefit of humanity. MUFON has 3 goals. Number 1 goal is we investigate UFO sightings and collect the data in the MUFON database for use by researchers worldwide. And of course, Project Aquarius is doing a lot to help us get lots of information and data out to anybody who wants to see it. So we promote research on UFOs. And number 2, promote research on UFOs to discover the true nature of the phenomenon with an eye towards scientific breakthroughs and improving life on our planet. And number 3, we educate the public on the UFO phenomenon and its potential impact on society. And of course, that's what we're doing right here today on the second Saturday of every month. Generally, we start with the 1 o'clock social time, and the formal meeting starts at 2. But the meeting times vary, and they're usually hybrid. This is hybrid. Some people in person, some people watching at home. That's hybrid. But sometimes they're just in person. Sometimes they may be online only. If we get a blizzard coming in, we'd cancel this. We'd be online only. We still want to have the meeting. So, and start times do vary based on content. And so watch for email blasts. Look for us on Facebook for announcements there, and Meetup. We'll announce stuff on Meetup. And I think on Meetup we're called the Twin Cities Paranormal Research Group or something like that. Or it's not called Minnesota MUFON on Meetup, but that is us. So look for us on Meetup, and you can find out stuff from us there. So. Yeah, so I should introduce everybody who helps me make this chapter go, because there's a lot of people that have their hands in it. So again, I'm Tom Maher. I mentioned Jared Nelson is my assistant director. He's also on the ERT team. He's also the interim programming coordinator. And Bill McNeff, who's be our presenter today. Bill's online. So I don't know if Bill's online. Wave to Bill. If you see Bill on your screen, wave to Bill. He is our chief investigator. He's on the ERT team, and he's the STAR team manager. And this is a big announcement. This is very cool. Last month we didn't have this. Now we have a second chief investigator. We now have 2 chief investigators in Minnesota. We're back to that. So we're so excited and so happy to have Linda Folkerts Maleka as our new chief investigator. Let's give Linda a big round of applause. Linda's got a great background in veterinary medicine and stuff, and she's got a real scientific, really oriented mind. She's very dedicated. When I see her cases, when I do the reviews on What's Up in Minnesota, she does good work. I mean, I'm really impressed with the work that Linda does. I'm really excited to have her on as our chief investigator. So that's very cool. And I screwed it up last month. I'm not going to screw it up this month. We have a relatively new membership director, Mr. Ivor Matz, right here. Give Ivor a big round of applause. Ivor's just got so much drive and motivation and dedication. He's got great ideas. He's really bringing a lot of enthusiasm to the position. So I'm really excited to have him on board and be working with him. So I think we're going to see great things out of Ivor. So I mentioned volunteer opportunities. We could really use a secretary. So if you like documenting meetings and things like board meetings, field investigator trainings and things like that, we can help him keep track of some of our historical stuff. We could use a secretary. And it would be really nice if we had a programming coordinator. I'd love to have a programming coordinator, because right now I'm kind of doing some of it. Other people kind of filling in to do programming coordinator. It'd be nice if we had an A-point person who could really manage that. So if you're interested in talking to people and calling people, getting things set up and scheduled, let me know, because we'd love to have a great program coordinator. So today's meeting, we're going to start off with, well, What's Up in Minnesota, the year in review. And after we do the year in review, we're going to do the most current What's Up in Minnesota. And then after that, we're going to hear from Minnesota MUFON's very own Bill McNeff. Bill McNeff has got a great presentation on the October 24th, 1968 Minot, North Dakota case. Bill's got some great stuff set for you, so really excited about that. Next month, we're going to do What's Up in Minnesota again. And I believe we're going to have Russ Kellett speaking to us. And remotely, Russ is in England. And his topic is E.T. riders. So he was a motorcycle rider, and he was abducted while he was doing a ride. Is that correct, Joe? Yeah. So like kind of like Easy Rider, he's E.T. Rider. So he got abducted while doing his motorcycle ride. So Space Soldier, yep. So I want to let you know that Minnesota has Minnesota MUFON has a YouTube channel. We've got over 1,650 subscribers. If you're not one, you could be one. So I'd ask you to be one. We've currently got 48 videos on there. Last month we had 47. That's Jared Nelson putting those videos up for us. So thank you, Jared, for that. Yep, give Jared a round of applause. We've got videos from when these people were here at Minnesota MUFON. Paula Harris, who ran Star Works USA, international researcher. She's great to have here. Ken Storch has been on a number of the UFO shows around. A former police officer, he was here. Sherry Wild has been here. Ted Phillips is here. Grant Cameron was here. You can see them all on our YouTube channel. We had a Minnesota MUFON experiencer panel. We had Minnesota MUFON member Joe Swenson was here, and the late Craig Lang was is on there too. And yeah, so check out our YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff out there. And thanks to Jared, it's getting updated. We're putting more content out there. So thank you, Jared. I appreciate your efforts and all your hard work on that. So now I want to know, actually in the room, so in the room and on the chat, who's attending here for the first time? Any first-time attendees here? Any first-time attendees? One first-time attendee? Just one. Okay, that's cool. So one for anybody on the chat saying their first. No, if you're on the chat, you still have a chance to chime in and let us know your first-time attendee. So what I'd like to do is we've got one new attendee here. So you don't have to do this. There's no pressure. But if you'd like to, I'd like you to stand, introduce yourself, tell us your name, and kind of how you heard about us or what you're interested in.
I'm Conan Stanton, and I heard about it through Tori. Tori and I are classmates going back to high school. And for the last few years, we kind of reconnected and we kind of have a lot of the same interests. And he invited me along, and so I'm happy to be here today to learn what I can.
Cool, very cool. Thanks for coming out. And for those of you online, his name is Conan. He's a friend of Tori Nelson. It's been a long time, and Tori brought him along, so that's very cool. So, are there any new members here? Anyone who's become a member recently? Any new members? Okay, we got one new member down in front. In the chat too, if you're a new member, let me know if you're a new member. So I'm going to ask. So we've got Eric down in front says he's a new member. So Eric, I'm going to put you on the spot too. So would you mind? So we all know Eric's name is Eric. Would you mind standing? Tell us why you decided to become a MUFON member.
Well, I've been attending meetings for about a year now, and I finally pulled the trigger. I've just been dragging my feet, I guess, and I don't know why I was so hesitant, but I was, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, nothing to apologize for. Eric was saying he's been attending for about a year and he was just dragging his feet. And you know what? I think that's probably a common story. I think a lot of people have attended for a long time. I think I did that too. I attended for a long time before I became a member. There's just something where people hesitate and they finally go, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to pull the trigger and do it. So thank you, Eric, for joining. And then any MUFON members who renewed their membership recently. And actually, I'm one who's renewed my membership. Anyone else renew their membership recently? Anyone in the chat saying they've renewed their membership? So I have to check with MUFON and see about my membership. I may have in the past 2 years, I may have renewed 4 times. I got to check some records on that, but that's another story. So I recently renewed my membership because I'm the state director. They like the state directors to renew their membership because it's a good example. So all right, so that is that's my announcement. So now let's get into what's up in Minnesota. So did Tori tell you about what's up in Minnesota is or no? Conan? No, okay. So what's up in Minnesota? We do this every month, and what I do is I take a look at cases that have come in since our previous meeting. If we've completed any, I'll tell you how they've completed. If they're new cases, I'll give you oversights of the new cases. And now at the end of the year, so the first meeting of the year, I kind of recap everything that happened in the previous year, and then I give you the whole new what's up in Minnesota. So this is the year in review, so it's got different information than the typical what's up. We'll get to the regular what's up after this. So this is from obviously January 1st of 2023 through December 31st, 2023. So we're going to start off with overview of cases. So case summaries, Minnesota alone, we had 93 cases compared to 89 in 2022. So we get up a few more cases. The submission date range was January 1st through December 30th. I don't know if you recall last year when I did this, but there was like a big gap at the beginning and end of the year. Like people didn't report during the holidays, but not this year. They right on January 1st, they're reporting all the way up to December 30th. So the sightings date ranges on this is always so cool. We had a case come in this past year from 1938. That's not a typo. They're from 1938. I mean, the case is 80 plus years old. So people go, oh, I had the sighting, but it was so long ago. Should I still report it? Like, hey, we're getting cases in there at 80 years old. So if your case is older than 80, let's talk. If it's not, get in there and report it. So yeah, we can certainly do an investigate on that. And of course, all the way through December 29th of 2023. We had 6 cases of interest, and last year we had 8 cases of interest, so we only had 6 this year. So case of interest is when someone reports a case. It first goes to the global headquarters. They look at everything before they send it off to the chapters. They look at this case and go, oh, this actually might be an extraterrestrial being or craft. They mark it as a case of interest to like really look at it closely because they think it might be something that would be, could be legit. So had 6 of them this past year. Overview of cases. So these are the shapes that were reported to us. We had 1 bullet missile was reported to us, 1 chevron. Chevron's kind of like a V shape is what a chevron is. We had 4 cigars reported, 19 circles, 1 cylinder, 3 discs, 3 fireballs, 2 where they just said it was not applicable, 5 others, 6 ovals, 1 Saturn-like, 18 spheres, 5 square rectangles, 3 star-like, 1 teardrop, 1 tic-tac, 7 triangles, and 6 unknown. So does anybody have any questions about any of the shapes or anything like that? Or anything I've talked about so far in the year in review? No? And if you do have questions online, put it in the chat and one of them will let me know and I'll try to answer your question. So valet classification. So we're going to talk about valet classifications a little bit more when we get into the other part of what's up in Minnesota. But these are, so when Project Blue Book was happening, why am I blanking on his name? J. Allen Hynek, thank you, was developing this with Jacques Vallée. Hello, Vallée, right there.
Yeah.
They want to do it scientifically, so they're gathering all this information. What happens when you gather lots of scientific information? You start looking for commonalities. How do you categorize this? How do you put them in groups? How do you look for patterns and whatnot? So this is what the Vallée classifications are. So AN stands for anomalies. So we had 16 anomalies of the first kind. We had 2 anomalies of the second kind, 6 anomalies of the third kind, 1 anomaly of the fourth kind, and we didn't have any anomalies of the fifth kind. So CE, that stands for close encounters. I'm sure everyone's heard of the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's a Vallée classification. So we had 16 close encounters of the first kind. We didn't have any close encounters of the second kind. We had 4 close encounters of the third kind, 1 close encounter of the fourth kind, and we didn't have any close encounters of the fifth kind. Now FB stands for flyby. So we had 25 flybys of the first kind, 2 flybys of the second kind, and we didn't have any of the third, fourth, or fifth kind. So, and actually, flybys are the most common report we get, so it's not surprising that we see 25 on there. So, and the next category is MA. MA stands for maneuvers. So we had 20 maneuvers of the first kind and none of the other kinds. So all of our maneuvers were 20 MAs of the first kind. So, and this is something that MUFON started within the past few years. They've put little letters at the end of the case number because there'd be a case number and it used to have nothing after it. Now you'll see it, there's a case number and there'll be usually at least 1 letter or a series of letters. And I never found out what those letters are called. So I've nicknamed them qualifiers. To me, it kind of qualifies what the cases are. And so there's A for abduction, there's U for UFO, E for entity, and EQ for experience or questionnaire. And you can have 1 or a combination of those. So this past year, we got 1 that had an AEQ, so abduction with an experience or questionnaire. 1 was just an entity. 1 was an entity abduction EQ, experience or questionnaire. We had 2 EEQs, so entity and experience or questionnaire. 77 U's, just UFOs. That's all they were saying. And then we had 1 was a UFO and an abduction. We had 1 was a UFO and an entity. And 5 U, E, and EQ. So that's the cases that we got in 2023, an overview. Okay, so here's an overview of what the case conclusions were. So as of, I pulled this data this morning. So 89 were completed and 4 were still in progress. So dispositions are only on completed cases, but most were completed. So we had 3 cases that were ERT only. We had 3 we determined were a hoax. We had 32 were IFOs. IFOs, identified flying objects. We were able to tell what those were. We had 6 information onlys, and information onlys can be a variety of things. Sometimes it's, oh, my friend told me this, or my grandfather told me this, he passed away, he can't report it. It's not the actual witness reporting it, it's someone else reporting it on a witness's behalf. That'd be information only. 10 insufficient data, and sometimes that means that we can't get a hold of the witness and they won't return our call, we can't talk to them. Sometimes there's just not enough data to make a good determination. And 32 are unknown. We weren't able to identify 32 of our cases this past year, so. Okay, and who did all this work? Our fantastic field investigators did all this work. So here's, yeah, give them a big round of applause. So here are all the people who worked on cases for Minnesota MUFON this past year. Anna Scott, now I mentioned Anna, she's the actual North Dakota State Director right now, but she does a bang up job on her cases, does great work. So she did cases for us. Now, George Medich, I've got an asterisk after his name. He's not from Minnesota. He heads up the ERT team. So a lot of times he gets put on cases that are ERT cases. So he's not a Minnesota MUFON investigator, but his name is on one of our cases for an ERT. So, and Jared Nelson, my assistant state director, Joel Henry, who many of you may know, Kathy Blixrud is one. Our new chief investigator, Linda Folkerts Maleka, is on there too. And Bob Spearing. Now, Bob's got an asterisk as well. So Bob is the case assistant group for the international cases. So what a case assistant group is say a chapter has too many cases for the field investigators that they have, or they've got cases and there's no field investigators. These are investigators from other areas that will come in and they'll investigate the cases, a case assistant group. And Bob leads up the international one. So there's other countries that are short on field investigators, have too many cases or no investigators. He leads up that group investigating those cases. Peter Collins, I think we're gonna see some of Peter Collins' cases today. And Steve Hero, a longtime Minnesota MUFON member, he's on top of those cases. He completes his cases like crazy. He's always on top of them. I was even on a case. Look at that, I'm on a case. So, and Bill Odden in the back. Give Bill a big round of applause. Bill's been with us a long time. I think we're gonna see like at least two of Bill's cases today. William Palmieri, one of our newer field investigators, as is William Andig, one of our newer field investigators. And our speaker today and our other chief investigator, Mr. Bill McNeff. Bill's on the Zoom call. Give Bill a big round of applause. Bill's just been a great resource for Minnesota MUFON, for MUFON Global, for the whole ufology community in general. Bill's just a wealth of knowledge and resources. So yeah, it's great to have him in our chapter actually. So let's see. So here's I do the stats usually for the month. Here's our year in review stats. So our 2023 global stats, there's 8,332. And actually now, because remember I used to show the year's totals for a while. And I think that's gone up from a little bit because it peaked around 10,000 a few years back and then kind of dropped down again. I think this is higher than last year. I didn't think about that. I'm gonna check that to see if our numbers gone up. Maybe I'll report on that next month and show you what the numbers are. But last year we had 6,714 in the US, 369 in the United Kingdom, 321 in Canada, 199 in France, going all the way down to Sweden with 10, Turkey 9, Colombia 8. And there's a few more. Actually, there's a lot more down here, but totaling 8,332 cases came into MUFON. And think about that. 8,332 came into MUFON. And why I want to emphasize that is not everybody that has a sighting reports to MUFON. They simply don't. It just doesn't happen. And of course, like some of these countries where the numbers are lower, there's good reasons why those numbers are lower. It's not because there's fewer sightings there. There's other things like access to computer, access to knowing English and stuff like that. So if 8,332 were reported to us, I mean, how much is actually being seen out there? I mean, the numbers, I would guess probably, I'm just throwing I would guess 20,000 or more. I feel like that's probably relatively safe because I would think we probably get less than half of the sightings that happen. That's just my guess. So yeah, so it's a much bigger phenomenon than what usually the mainstream media and the news will tip their hat to. So, and so overview of states, report stats by state. So California is always up there as with Florida. So California had 728, Florida had 504, Texas had 453. We are down here right at the bottom. We're at 93 last year. So, and of course there's more states down there, but yeah, we squeaked in there with 93. So that's what we had last year. So, and that's by submission date. That's not sighting date. It's by submission date. And of course, overview of stats of shapes reported. So circles are always up there, 1,527 circles, 1,054 spheres, 628 others, 607 unknowns, 573 triangles, going down to 38 cones, 36 teardrops, 19 crosses, and 1 dumbbell. Isn't there always 1 dumbbell in the group? There's always 1 dumbbell in the group. It's got to be 1 dumbbell in the group. So we got a dumbbell in this group too. So how about that? So that's our stats shapes for 2023. All right, so our sightings by distance. So less than 100 feet, there's 993 reports. People said they saw what they saw from less than 100 feet away. 101 feet to 500 feet, 977 of them. So between the two of them, that's a better part of 2,000, less than 500 feet away. 501 feet to a mile, 1,473. Over a mile, 1,691. 1,079 had unknown values and 209 had no values. People reported 251 landings, hoverings, and takeoffs. And they reported over 413 entities. They reported 413 entities. And remember, that's just, again, what got reported to us. 413 is what got reported to us. That's more than an average of 1 a day. And of course, granted, usually a lot of times when people see entities, they're in groups, so it's not like there's literally 1 every day, but it gives you an idea. And if that's just what got reported to us, again, what are people really seeing? What are people really experiencing out there? Okay, so now we're going into the actual, so that's it for the year review. So now we're going to go into our monthly report. So our monthly report goes from the day of our last meeting in December through yesterday. So I'm catching up for everything that happened since the last time we met. So the global rankings, again, the United States at 377 or 337, with France at 30, Canada at 16. Now we've done Thailand with 1, and United States outlying minor islands with 1, for a total of 458 from December 9th through yesterday. So. And of course, our rankings by state. Again, California is always up there with 31, Florida's 28, Texas at 20, Michigan 18. We're down here, big cluster of 7s. Illinois had 7, Indiana had 7, Louisiana had 7, Massachusetts had 7, we had 7, Missouri 7, Oklahoma 7, South Carolina 7, Wisconsin 7, down to Jersey and Oregon with 6, and I think it's Alabama with 5. So yeah, so lots of 7s this year, or this month. So. And of course, MUFON shapes was reported 97 circles, 52 spheres, 41 unders, 34 unknowns, 24 discs, going out of 1 cross, 1 cone, 1 bullet missile. and one dumbbell. One dumbbell is, like I said, there's got to be one dumbbell in every group. Here's a dumbbell for this group. So, all right. And our distance stats from December 9th through yesterday, we had 47 come in from less than 100 feet away. We had 50 from 100 feet to 500 feet. 85 were 501 feet to a mile. 81 were over a mile. 74 they just didn't know, and 16 had no values. And there was 18 landings, hoverings, and takeoffs reported, and 31 entities observed. Again, I can never get over the entities observed. You know, before I was into this or kind of coming to meetings and stuff, or looking at these stats, I would have guessed the entities observed would have been like single digits or maybe low to mid double digits would have been my guess, like low to mid teens. 31 is still kind of low for what we average. I usually see mid 30s. I mean, we saw I think one in the mid 20s last year, but that's pretty rare. So having up in the 30s is real. I find it very interesting and remarkable. So. Okay, so here's our What's Up in Minnesota updates. So updates, these are all cases I've shown you before that were not completed. Since then, they have completed. So I'm going to show you how they've concluded. And there's a lot of them. We had a lot of cases closed this month. I think we had like 6 or 7 cases closed this month. So let's get into the updates. And I kind of breeze over the beginning of them a little bit faster because we've seen them before, but the conclusion I spent a little more time on. Okay, so case number 135643-U. So U, there's that qualifier I was talking about. Took place on November 30th of 2023 at 3:34 a.m. A sphere was seen in Rochester. Steve Hero has assigned it. Of course, like I said, Steve gets his case. He's on top of those cases. Of course, Steve's has done so. I'm not sure what these objects could be. Could someone explain? I'm not for sure they're not airplanes. Let's see what Steve found out. So Steve completed IFO man-made object. So he enlarged the video and slowed it down so you can see what transpired. It looks like the smaller object is moving in a straight line from right to left, similar to a satellite. And the larger object appears to be dropping lower on the horizon, which also indicates movement, but the object is on a trajectory parallel to the observer's line of sight. So it's hard to tell if it's moving. As they continue to move, they disappear. This is most likely because they pass into the Earth's shadow and they no longer reflect the sunlight, making them appear no longer visible to the naked eye. I'm calling this case IFO man-made satellite. So thank you, Steve, for your work on that. Steve always does a fantastic job for us. Case number 134912-U. They didn't have a date for this one. They didn't give us a date, and that's probably a default time. They just put in 12 midnight. A sphere was seen in Apple Valley flying by, stationary orbs, and they so Bill Odden in the back there. Bill was working on this. Let's see what Bill, and I think this is the one. Bill had 2 cases that closed. Same witness, same. So it's very, very similar. I think this is one of the 2 where it's very similar. So. And Bill says IFO natural phenomenon. So IFO, the witness has been seeing orbs in the sky for years. He said the orbs were in the sky at the time and gave me their location. I went outside and looked and could not find them. There's a tree covering up part of the sky. This could be why I did not see it, but he has seen flashing orbs for 15 years. I believe he was seeing objects and they were like Starlink satellites. His description all those years were the same and they matched the Starlink satellite. The witness said he would see these for 3 hours, which meant they were not Starlink. He could be looking at regular stars and other times it could be Starlink too. So yeah, and seeing it for 15 years continue like that, that strikes me as a little bit odd. A lot of times when people are seeing stuff, they see it, it's like a one-time event. It's not like you'll go out there every night, you're seeing the same thing over and over. That does happen occasionally, not for 15 years, but you will see that where, 3 nights in a row this happened or something like that. So the 15 years does strike me as odd. So he concluded that was a Starlink IFO natural phenomenon. So thank you for your work on that, Bill. Case number 134929-U took place on 10/22/2023 at 1 a.m. A sphere was seen in Apple Valley, multiple changing orders, multiple lights in a row. So this is Bill again. I think is this the same witness, Bill? Is this the one that's the same witness, I think? Yeah, it's the same thing, seeing orbs for sky for years. So this is the same guy, same report and stuff. IFO natural phenomenon, could be Starlink or regular stars. So thank you for your work on that, Bill. And case number 135276-U took place on November 7th of 2023, 8:15 p.m. A bullet missile in Maple Grove. Noticed line of multiple lights moving slowly. Peter Collins was working on this one, and let's see what Peter determined on this one. Yeah, I love when they do drawings. I mean, it's not as fancy as the drawing that I showed you from Project Aquarius, but even the drawing like this, I think it's very, very cool. I love when they send in drawings like that because it's great to kind of get a visual on what they see, and it kind of helps fill in the blanks a little bit. So. It's interesting too, because if you look, he actually drew and he erased them and he tried to correct his own drawing. So it's like, it wasn't quite perfect enough. So he did some work to kind of get it a little more accurate. So I really appreciate that. So unknown UAV, I do believe the witness and his sister did see an object in the sky. The witness is very credible and was very confident in what he saw. When the witness was telling how the object was moving slowly and that it was disappearing behind trees, I thought it may have been a plane. Crystal Airport in Crystal, Minnesota, which is about 6 miles southeast of the witness location. There is a possibility that witness saw a plane making an approach for a landing. The lights that witness described are too many for a plane, but it's still a possibility. Could have been a plane since the sighting lasts 8 to 10 seconds. Can't determine what witness and his sister saw in the sky, but I feel confident the witness and his sister did see an object. So he's given that the disposition of unknown UAV. And UAV is unidentified aerial vehicle, aerial vehicle. So thank you, Peter, for your work on that. And case number 134956-U took place on 10/7/2023 at 8:33 p.m. Up in Forest Lake. A circle was seen. Witness Bill Odden was working on that. Man, Bill's got his fingerprints on all over the cases today. Good job, Bill. Thank you for all the work you're doing for us. So he could, oh yeah, so here's the one photograph that we got from that one. So this is the object right here that they're referring to. And completed unknown other. The witness was out on his deck looking at the sky when he saw 3 orbs. They were about 5,000 to 10,000 feet up and moving in different directions. A short time, they were joined by 2 more orbs. After a while, they disappeared. A dark area looked to form and 3 orbs flew into it and disappeared. That was the end of the orbs for that night. There was no noise and they flew in a set pattern or no set pattern. He did get a picture of which showed 1 orb. So unknown other on that one. So unknown other, we're not saying it's a craft per se, but we can't identify what it is. It's something else, but we don't know exactly what that is. So thank you for your work on that, Bill. Case number 134584-U took place on 10/6/2023 at 3:52 in Hermantown, which is in St. Louis County. A teardrop was seen. Peter Collins working on that one. So let's see what Peter came up with on that one. Oh yes, I think yeah. So this is the object right there in that little dot right there. So that's what we're looking at on that one. So let's see what he came up with on that. So he said, IFO, identified flying object, identified other. I believe that the greenish light was the result of lens flare due to the sunlight increasing through the trees from the wind blowing. The black object can be seen in the video, but cannot be identified. The black object could possibly be a bird, a drone, or something else. Yeah, because it looks odd to me. I just can't figure out. And he did submit some other pictures. I just didn't have them handy here, but yeah, he did submit some other pictures. But yeah, it is kind of odd. It just kind of stays in that area. So drone's a possibility. Just can't say for certain what that is. So thank you for your work on that, Peter. Here's a case of interest. Case number 134475-U took place on September 25th, 2023. A sphere was seen in Ely, Minnesota. Again, Peter Collins was worked on this one. The object appeared again briefly, performing what appeared to be replication after disappearing after several minutes. So, and he said, completed unknown UAV. So the witness is very credible and was very consistent in explaining his sighting during his interview. I reviewed the videos, which documents and supports the witness's sighting. Witness has video proof of his sighting, which supports his report. So he's given an unknown UAV. Case number 134373-U-E. Remember, it can have one or all or as many, any combination of those. Took place on June 1st of 2016 at 7 p.m. A sphere was seen in Bloomington. Bill McNeff, our very own Bill McNeff, was checking this one out, working on that. Yeah, so a white man said behind him, it's a hoax, it's a hoax, I'm sorry. So let's see what Bill determined. So completed a hoax event. So Bill said, review of the reported data provides no reason to think that the object was nothing other than a failed attempt at a hoax, which fooled only the witness. This disposition is a hoax event. So, and I've talked about this before. So there's 2 different types of hoaxes that MUFON identifies. There's a hoax event, and there's a hoax keystroke. So a hoax event is where someone is hoaxing something out in space in real time. So an event is happening, but it's someone is hoaxing it. And that's the thing too. When you hear of a hoax event, the witness may or may not be the perpetrator. Just because it's a hoax event, you can't go, oh, that person, they perpetrated the hoax. They may not have. They may have witnessed the hoax and not known what it was. So they genuinely, sincerely reported it, not knowing what it was, and we were able to determine it was a hoax. The other one is a hoax keystroke. So a hoax keystroke is when someone sits down on the computer and just types up a story and sends it to us. Nothing actually happens out in real space-time other than them sitting at the computer making up a story. So this is a hoax event. So thank you for your work on that one, Bill. So now our new cases. So these are new, there's new cases. So from January, so December 9th through January 12th. And did I mention that? So cases submitted. So yeah, we had 7 cases come in. 1 is an ERT case. And I've talked about this in the past. So ERT stands for Experiencer Resource Team. So when we get an ERT case come in, there's a higher level of anonymity that we adhere to for the ERT cases. And so basically, I can't really tell you anything about the case itself, unless it's like one of the stats up here. I can't identify that for you. And the reason I have the asterisk by this one ERT case, because what I found when I was in the database looking around, remember how I said there's those qualifiers, and an EQ stands for Experiencer Questionnaire, that indicates an ERT case. Well, there's one case that has the EQ, and its disposition was ERT only. So okay, that all makes sense. So I'm not going to show you anything about that one. But I was looking at another case. I think the qualifier was just a U. just to you. So I should be able to show that to you. But when I looked at the disposition was ERT only, which I wouldn't expect that unless there was an EQ on it. So I was like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show that or not. So I'm erring on the side of caution. I'm not going to show you that case either, but I'll show you the other 5 that aren't ERT related. So one is designated as an ERT case. Another one has a disposition of ERT only. So submission date range, December 9th, 2023 through January 3rd of 2024. The sightings range, not as cool as 1938. It's pretty typical. So July 16th of 2023 through December 29th of 2023. No cases of interest, but a wide variety of shapes. We're going to see one disc, one sphere, one star-like, one oval, one was not applicable, one Saturn-like, and one just didn't have a shape listed. And now the valet classifications. I've talked to you about that a little bit. I want to give you a little more insight on what these valet classifications mean, or the definitions. So we're going to look at 2 AN1s, so 2 anomalies of the first kind. So MUFON defines an anomaly of the first kind as anomalies that do not have lasting physical effects, such as amorphous lights or unexplained explosions. So something happens and then it's gone. There's really no evidence. It's an anomaly. So 2 AN1s. We're going to look at 1 AN3. So it's an anomaly of the third kind. MUFON defines an anomaly of the third kind as anomalies with associated entities. This could include reports of ghosts, yetis, and other instances of cryptozoology, as well as elves and spirits. Not promising that's in this case, but that's what the definition is for an AN3. So we're going to see 2 FB1s. Remember, FB stands for flyby. They're the most common, FB1s are the most common cases we get. And MUFON defines an FB1 as simply a sighting of a UFO flying by in the sky, the category most frequently reported. So that's an FB1. We're going to see 2 MA1s. Again, MA stands for maneuver. So 2 maneuvers of the first kind that we're going to look at. And MUFON defines a maneuver of the first kind as gathers those UFO observations that involve an object with a discontinuous trajectory, such as a drop, a maneuver, or a loop. So we had 2 of those come in this month. So we're going to take a look at all of those. And then we'll be taking a break, and then we hear from Bill McNeff. But yeah, so 5 cases, because 7 minus the 1 minus the other one, we get 5 cases we're going to show you. And one case has about 10 pictures. They're all very similar. At first, I thought they were submitting the same picture over and over and over again. They are different pictures, 10 pictures. And we've got a couple videos too. So the videos are kind of interesting. They're hard. A lot of times the videos, when it's dark out, it's hard to really get much out of it. But one, I think you'll kind of know what it is. The other one, it's just hard to say. But let's get into these cases. So case number 135724-E, so E for entity, took place on July 16th, 2023 at 12 a.m. Saturn-like object was seen, valet classification FB1, so just flying by. This took place in Brainerd. Unusual satellite-looking entity. So the short description, I always give you exactly what the witness puts in there. Unless they put a name, I'll take the name out. But other than that, that's exactly what they put in. The detailed descriptions get longer, but this is everything that they put in. So I was looking for satellites, and potentially the space station, when I noticed a satellite-looking light moving from west to east across the whole visible opening in the sky. However, just above the horizon, as opposed to being typically in the sky, may have been July 16th as I look back. It did not flash in any way as one might see with an aircraft, and most notably, the light did not move from west to east in a typically straight line trajectory. This light seemed to move slightly in an upward downward fashion, as you might see watching a boat move through the water at night. So that's a really interesting description. So it's really, and it's interesting too, because this is obviously someone who looks at the sky a lot, so he's probably very familiar with what's normal satellites and things. So you kind of go, okay, if it's something unusual to this person, there might be something there. So but Bill McNeff is working on this one, and when Bill McNeff completes it, I will give you an update on it. I don't think we've got any attachments on this one. So yeah, case number 135478-U, so U for UFO, took place on December 3rd of last year at 4 p.m. A sphere was seen, AN1, so anomaly of the first kind, in Coon Rapids. This is all they said, ball of colored light. Now, the detailed description was, I went for groceries, I looked up at the sky, there was a ball of colored light. I took pictures of it. After downloading the pictures from my phone to my computer, there were several orbs around the ball of colors. I didn't notice the orbs until downloading the pics off my phone. If you want them, I will give them to you. And she did. So I'm going to show them to you. So Linda is currently working, our new chief investigator, Linda Folkridge-Maleka, is currently working on this one. It's in progress. And I'll show you it again when it's completed, but I'll show you the pictures right now. So I think this is what she's looking at, which that definitely could be a lens flare, because we're going to see in later pictures, the sun is like right here. I mean, in other pictures it's very clear, but I think the sun is right here. I think this is a lens flare, but I think she's also referring to like those 3 dots right there, maybe this one and that one. And there's this one up here too. So the thing about these series of photos, I'm not really clear based on her description what she's looking at. And that's why the field investigator, their interview is so important, because they can actually talk to them and question them and kind of get a better feel for what is actually there. So, and again, these pictures are all very similar. So At first, I thought she submitted the same one over and over again. So it's there again, there's that flare. We're gonna see the sun here better. Could be this up here, and there's those three again in a row there, and a couple more down here, and that one over here again, so. Again, very similar. This is that flare, I think, and then it's a couple up here and another one over here, that line of three right there. And it's funny too, because when I see stuff like that line of three, it can be so hard to tell sometimes, because that could be like a dried rain or something on her windshield, and very just small specks, but going to the camera, which is focusing out further, it looks funny like that. So it's hard to say what that was. So, and if you notice too in her description, she said something like, I didn't see them when I took the picture, but I saw them afterwards. That always kind of keys me in. It could be a lens flare, because lens flares you don't see with naked eye, but they show up in the picture. So pick number 4, again, we've got our lens flare. We're getting a little more of the sun. We're going to see more of the sun. There's our 3 dots, a couple more here, that one up there, that one over there. All very similar pictures submitted here. And yeah, it's looking more like a lens flare. I'll show you the sun more, but there's those 3 and that one, another one, that one up there. So it'd be nice to know what she was thinking was really not identified. So, but actually this one that could be flare seems pretty stationary, but again, so does her camera view. It doesn't look like she's moving her camera around a lot either. So that could impact that. So now you're really getting to see the sun here better. And there's that flare, I believe those 3, and a couple 2, and up there and up there. So. But these are all very similar. Yeah, you're really, if that's not the sun, I'm not sure what that is, but it's obviously definitely very bright. And you don't really see the flare so much in this one. And that looks like the 3 spots there, but yeah, so. Again, we get the 3 spots there. That flare is kind of diminished in some of the other spots so it'd be really nice to know what she was identifying, is that she wasn't clear on what it was. So, and again, not so much the flare, but you can see the really bright light source in our 3 dots, another dot, and a couple of that have been in other pictures. And our last one, yeah, still big bright light source. You barely even notice the flare here. And but the 3 dots again, some other ones. So those are the 10 pictures she submitted. And you might go, those pictures are almost all the same. Why did you show us all 10 of them? And I talk about this occasionally. As a state director and as a MUFON representative, I try to strive to be as transparent with you as I possibly can. So if I got 10 pictures that were all the same, and I would say, well, they're pretty much all the same, I'm just going to show you 1 or 2. Well, that's not being very transparent. But if I show you everything that I can, I mean, I'm being as transparent as I can. So I want to be, and MUFON wants to be as open as we can. That's part of the reason why Project Aquarius is there. We want to show you the information that we have so you can see it and make your own decisions too. So even though they're very similar, I think it's important that you see, and it also gives you a better idea. This is typical of some reports that we get at times. So. Case number 135799. Is this the one that we've got a video on this one? I'm not sure. No, it was 799. We've got a video on this one. Yep.
Yep.
So this took place on December 8th of 2023 at 9:38 p.m. An oval was seen, MA1, so maneuver of the first kind, in Spicer, Minnesota. I let my dogs out. How many times have I talked about we get reports because people were letting their dogs out? I mean, so here's another, let my dogs out. If there were not dogs, we'd have many fewer UFO sightings. People are letting their dogs out, and that's when they see these things. So out of my family cabin around 9:30 p.m. when I looked up, almost immediately a bright orb. I troll filmed this longer. I'm not sure what that means, but that's exactly what they wrote in there. So it was hovering over the lake shore and eventually went southeast across Green Lake near Spicer, Minnesota. I will attach the short video of this bright orb and its lights moving about. It turns the lights off at the end of filming, but they will go back on after the filming. So Steve Hero has investigated it and completed it, but we're going to show you the video first. Can we pull up the video? Honey.
Yeah, I mess with it a little bit.
See it on there. See it.
It was before.
When you had that search bar at the bottom, did you have it at the bottom? If you get to the desktop. So it's not, yeah, it was down there before. So yeah, go to the desktop. 'Cause I know you got them saved on the desktop. So you go right to the desktop. You just open them up again. So minimize all that. It's on the. There you go. I think that's the left one. That's the one. And I make sure they're seeing that out on. Are they seeing it too? You might have to share it separately.
No, they're not seeing it.
Okay. Let's get it up and running first for here in the room. Oh, was it there? Okay. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna hit play on that one. So there we go. And yeah, is it sharing yet?
No, there, sure.
Okay. We're gonna try to share it for you in a second for those online, so, but you just got this, and see, that's not unusual for, but it's nice you got trees, you can kind of get some idea of, what kind of angle they're looking at, so they're not looking straight up, but they're looking where you get some trees in there, but a lot of times these nighttime videos, that's what we get, is just a dot in a field of black, and there's not a lot we can do with that, though, so, can you share it for the people or no? Oh, you can't, okay. So for the people at home, oh, you are, okay, we're gonna see it in just a second. Are they seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool, so we can get back to the report. Could be the edge thing, I think, to leave down there, should be where it's at.
Multiple screen thing.
Yep, I hear you. Cool, so Steve, he's completed it, let's see if I've got control, can you click on it?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
Scan it.
Kind of like having controls on the bottom.
No, I
Right,
want it.
last time.
I want it the other way. There we go.
Cool.
Just let it go.
Okay, so Steve completed that one, IFO man-made object. So since I was unable to contact the main witness and the secondary witness thought it might be a drone, I'm going to go with that conclusion for now. I will reopen this case if I ever hear from the main witness, but for now, this case is classified as IFO man-made object. So yeah, that's a tough one because you're not talking to the witness. So the witness is it's really key to talk to the witness, but the secondary witness thought it may be a drone. So that's good. And that's a key thing too. I'm going to go with this conclusion for now. It's important to remember that whenever we close a case in MUFON, it's closed or completed, but we're always opening up and open to changing the disposition as new information comes in. So we're not like, this is what it is, it's always going to be, doesn't matter what you show me or tell me, it's going to stay that way. That's not us. If we have evidence or stuff that would change it, we'll certainly go in and we'll change the case. So thank you, Steve, for your work on that. We certainly appreciate all you do for Minnesota MUFON. Okay, case number 135978-U took place on December 29th of last year at 6:55 p.m. Starlike MA1, so maneuver of the first kind in Marshall, Minnesota. Bright lights in a row that started at the horizon and created a pattern going west to southwest very fast and disappeared abruptly, and not satellite pattern. So their detailed description, I just took a segment of it because it was kind of long, but series of bright lights that started at the horizon and rose quickly as if shooting stars in reverse, traveling from me west to southwest at an angle. This was way brighter than an airplane overhead and didn't look like fireworks in brightness or patterns. Silent and lasted about a minute. Based on the description, I bet some of you guys kind of probably already have an idea what that's probably going to be. I'm trying to think, we have a photo on this. We might have a photo on this one. Yeah. So as you see this, you probably already recognize exactly what that is. I'm guessing. Of course, we'll investigate it, but that looks like a classic Starlink satellite launch. So I would be very sure that, pretty sure that's what it is. We'll let our investigators look at it because we have a way of going onto the internet, looking up what satellite launches are happening, when and where. We know where the person was. We can say, was there Starlink satellites going up in that area at that time? My guess is just from looking at this, there probably was, because that just looks so typical of Starlink satellites. So, and we'll revisit that one once it's completed. So case number 136040-U took place on December 29th of 2023 at 6:55 p.m. A disc was seen, flyby of the first kind in Otsego. And this is interesting too, because I think, let's go back. Same date, same time, 12/29, 6:55. 12/29, 6:55. And the descriptions are, but different cities though. So we're in different cities, two different witnesses leaving Quick Trip gas station and noticed a string of lights in the sky, not Starlink. So he's saying it's not Starlink. Appeared to see a disc-like UFO that was tracking to a 45-degree angle. There were circle lights that wrapped around the equator of the disc. It was dark, and after a few moments, the light slowly faded to black. It was flying much lower than a jetliner. and more of a helicopter altitude. And so this one is the one we also have, we have a video on this one too, so you'll see the video. So you'll see how it looks very similar to the photograph, and you can kind of see, does it look like, what do you think of as a Starlink satellite when you see that, so. See, now we're getting much faster, how about that, so. It looks.
Not online,
Oh,
though.
it's not online, okay, well, we can share it on, it's a short video, we can share it online again, so. But it looks so much, it's almost identical to that photograph, and again, this is a different witness in a different city. But the coincidence is just the exact same time. The date I could see being the same, but it's interesting that the time they marked was exactly the same, so.
First one?
I'll go back and take a look once we're done sharing it with the, Otsego, yeah, I'll check it when we go back to the report. I just want to make sure people online get a chance to see it, so. Oh, was it Marshall? Okay. No, you're asking me hard questions now, aren't you? You're gonna make me think. Don't make me think. That's not, okay, so are they seeing that online?
No.
No, okay.
I'm trying to get back to the Zoom meeting,
Right.
but it's not.
Going back to Zoom.
There
There
it
you got
is.
it.
We move on.
Oh, you're not gonna be able to get, okay, so basically for those of you online, it was basically a video that looked almost exactly like that picture I just showed you, so, yeah, so Otsego on 12/29 at 6:55, and on my clicker's not going, can you get me clicking again? Okay, and here we go with, Marshall, yeah, Marshall at 12/29, 6:55 PM, so same day, same time, I don't know how close Otsego and Marshall are to each other, but I would guess they're not close at all?
You know,
Oh, they're 3 hours away, okay, well, of course, these aren't close to the ground either, so there is that, so, but.
And Marshall is, as we sit right here, Marshall would be southwest.
Okay.
Otsego would be, north and a little west. So in order for that, Otsego to see what happened in Marshall,
Mhm.
they would be having to be facing towards Sioux Falls, South Dakota. To see that, so that's why I'm asking which way, which compass heading they were at to see it.
Yeah, and the field investigator might be able to get a better bead on that one, so, and actually, so me and Linda are assigned on this one, and I'm assigned on that one, and that's probably gonna get, Linda's probably gonna do both of them, so she'll probably be on top of that and kind of get that figured out, so. Yeah, okay, so that's what's up in Minnesota for this year. We'll do a year in review next year, but just this month that's up for what's in Minnesota, so we're gonna take a break now. I'm showing 3:10, we're gonna break till 3:25. Oh, yeah, question, Tori?
I'd just like to introduce a dignitary that's here today.
Oh, yeah, Tori, would like to introduce a dignitary.
Ray Warren here is visiting us. He's a longtime MUFON member
Yep,
from back in the 70s.
yep,
73. And he was interested in UFOs prior to that.
cool. Now, Ray Warren is here with us in the room today. He has been a MUFON member since way back in 73. Did you want to say hi to the people online and in front or no?
Sure, why not?
Come on up.
What's your stuff? Oh, absolutely. Steak.
Yeah, a little bit of court, a little bit of court,
Yeah.
yeah.
I did a whole lot of traveling around. I had a very good friend on KSTP FM,
Hmm.
Michael J. Donuts.
Okay,
Me and him traveled around and looked at a lot of very unusual things. We went to Medford, Minnesota,
Hmm.
and there was a landing site there.
Hmm.
We picked up a fellow at the airport. His name is J. Allen Heine.
I heard that name somewhere before. so-
Yeah, we did an interview. Well, he did an interview, taped him the whole way. He asked about the Jupiter effect
Mhm.
with all the planets lining up.
Oh, yeah.
Will it have any effect on it? He says no. You know, kind of lackluster. And then we had another one in Meeker County where we're looking at a cattle mutilation.
Hmm.
And they brought us out there. We got the police reports, we got the pictures, the whole 9 yards. And they had a young steer laying out in the middle of this field, freshly fallen snow. And it was laying on top of the snow. There was no tire tracks or footprints to it. The animal was completely evacuated of blood.
Mhm.
Every piece of soft tissue on the animal, lips, eyelids, the whole 9 yards, was gone, like it was surgically cut out. So never really came to a conclusion one way or the other, but I thought this is very strange things going on out there. And then
Yep.
they had another farm that was nearby. I think it was called Shufflebine Farm. They seen actual aerial crafts come by,
Mhm.
and their animals were very, I would say, dismayed, upset.
Mhm.
I can imagine. And we did a lot of things and talked an awful lot. And Mike kind of got disheartened. He says, you know, this lights in the sky stuff, it isn't doing anything for me. I thought, well, okay, whatever. I met him and his wife. They lived out in Inver Grove Heights there by the anxiety treatment plant. And me and my wife went and had, you know, kind of a dinner with him. And it was really close relationship. He used to be at a radio station called U100
Mm.
out in Inver Grove Heights. And he did a news broadcast. It was called Believe It or Cram It.
Okay, cool, cool.
You know, and it was really kind of interesting. When we got to Medford, Minnesota with Heineck, he stayed in the house. The people in the house were really reputable. I mean, their daughter was Princess Kay of the Milky Way, and it was right across the street from them in a football field that the saucer shape came down. And I kind of went, okay, be kind of interesting to see this. Well, and Heineck says, Ray, you go with Ted Phillips, soil sample expert from
Yep,
Ted,
yep.
from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And I thought, oh, me, wow, you know, I'm impressed. Anyway, I went out there and we got out to the field and I'm looking at the ground. It says, wow, something awfully heavy must have been here. And there were holes about the size of a basketball that went into the ground at least a foot.
Hmm.
And I thought, what in the world happened here? He says, that happens at every landing site that we have. He says, and that's not the unusual thing. He took a little beaker, took a little shovel, threw some of the dirt in there, and he poured water in it and kind of swirled it around. The dirt will not mix with the water.
Interesting.
And he says, that happens at every landing site that we go to.
Wow.
I thought, whoa, okay, been around a little longer than that.
Right, right.
But, you know, there was just a few of the stories of things that we've come across one way or the other with interesting segments and things like that. And we really kind of got to be really good friends until his demise in Wisconsin.
Yep, yep.
He loved animals, he loved horses, and he had a number of them, and a horse kicked him and he hit a tree.
Oh, ouch.
That was the end of Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thank you much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for the story.
Yeah.
Give a very big round of applause.
Thank you much.
Okay, now we're gonna take a break. We're gonna break for about 15 minutes. We'll be back at 3:30 with Bill McNeff and I had it right here. I should
Over to the.
Bill McNeff with the October 24th, 1968 Minot, North Dakota case. So stick around for that. We'll be back in 15.
Well, yeah, it's gonna.
Okay, everybody, we're back and ready to go. So Bill McNeff joined the U.S. Army in 1955, where he received training in electronics and graduated in radar repair. He was cleared for top secret and worked in electronic countermeasures in conjunction with the NSA. Bill received a BSEE degree from the University of Nebraska in 1960. His background includes 40 years of work on various electronic and computer organizations, including Honeywell, Ceridian, and the Mayo Research Organization in Minnesota. He retired in 2000. He's been avidly interested in the subjects on the frontiers of science, including UFOs, since 1947. Bill served as state director for Minnesota MUFON for a number of years and is currently chief investigator. He's also a member of MUFON's Experiencer Resource Team, ERT. MUFON is the largest international UFO research organization. Bill's also an associate member of the Society for Scientific Exploration. He has investigated hundreds of UFO cases, has authored many articles on the subject, and has co-authored a book, Extraterrestrial Odyssey. So if you've been around Minnesota MUFON for a long time, I'm sure you know and love Bill like we all do. So let's turn it over now to Mr. Bill McNeff. Take it away, Bill.
Okay. This is about the 1968 Minot, North Dakota UFO incidents. I have a personal connection to this case. My brother-in-law was a security officer for Minot Air Force Base in 1968. My good friends and everyone in my family were aware of my keen interest in UFOs, including this brother-in-law. So when a group of very interesting UFO sightings occurred around Minot involving missile sites and a B-52, he gathered some important information for me. Minuteman missile sites listed their nicknamed silos are scattered in a large semicircle around Minot Air Force Base. On the morning of October 24th, 1968, shortly before 2:30 a.m., a camper team at the Oscar 6 Minuteman silo saw a large glowing object and nearby, pardon me, I've got to kill my phone here. A nearby, they saw a large glowing object lying nearby. At 2:30 a.m., a missile maintenance team en route to the November 7th silo reported a light pacing their vehicle. When they arrived at November 7th, the UFO was circling to the south. And here, this shows the arrangement of missile silos, Minuteman missile silos, around Minot Air Force Base. Notice that there's some red letters. You probably can't read them on this screen, but it'll be a little easier. There are some red letters, which are the names, and here's the next slide, the names of airmen who sighted the UFO visually. Many of these silos are 35 or 40 miles from Minot Air Force Base. So, by the way, one of these names at the very top of the screen is Sergeant James Bond. It just happens to be his name. He was one of the airmen who saw the UFO. Pretty soon, facility security controllers in a 40-mile wide area were reporting sightings of an object. Personnel at 3 silos described seeing the object separate into 2 parts and return and pass under each other. A 1-2-man security team followed the object to within a half mile of where it landed. He said that the shape flew by itself, and later, I keep hearing some interference. Somebody out there, one of our listeners, has their mic unmuted. Please turn off your microphones.
Ours is on. I checked before.
At 3 a.m., a B-52 was returning to Minot Air Force Base from a 10-hour training mission. The base radar had picked up a UFO in the area. Ground controllers asked the crew to look at 1 o'clock for an orange glow. At 3:52, the controllers told the crew the UFO is being picked up by the weather radar also. Now, this takes a really large object to be picked up by weather radar. The B-52 radar picked up a large echo 3 miles away. At that point, the radar navigator turned on the radar scope camera, which automatically took a photo of the scope every 3 seconds. The UFO then closed the distance at a speed of at least 3,000 miles an hour, quickly decelerated, and was pacing the B-52. It was now about 1 mile away, perhaps 1.5 miles away. 2 UHF radios on the B-52 were unable to transmit during this close approach of the object. The object then faded from radar, indicating it had either moved above or below the radar beam. Shortly after that, the pilot was asked to abort the landing, and the B-52 was vectored by the base radar approach control to turn back and overfly a huge glowing object which had been reported at ground level. When the B-52 at an altitude of about 1,000 feet overflew the object, the co-pilot, Captain Bradford Runyon, saw the object and later made some sketches. Here is a photo. Here's a map made by an Air Force officer of the flight path of the B-52. At upper left is the B-52's initial landing approach. The path during the taking of the radar screen is outlined in black. After the request to circle back and fly over the area where the landed object had been reported, the point at which the crew saw the object is flagged, and the probable location of the landed UFO is shown by a rectangle. You can see it right there, if you can see my cursor. Actually, it probably was at this point here, right inside this curve. But the B-52 threw over the landed UFO at about 1,500 feet. Or 1,000 feet, excuse me. Co-pilot Bradford Runyon later made this sketch. Somebody's interfering on their, please turn off your microphone. Please turn off your microphone if it isn't muted. Mute your microphone, please. The main oval body, okay, Captain Bradford Runyon made this sketch of the UFO. The main oval body, which Runyon estimated was at least 200 feet in diameter, would make the UFO about 500 feet or more long. It is tempting to speculate that when the airmen at the silos saw the object separate into 2 parts, that the crescent part, the crescent shape, flew off by itself and later returned and docked with the main craft. I colorized Bradford Runyon's original sketch. I may have shown the egg-shaped part with too bright a color, which he described as dull red like molten lava. Runyon also drew a side view of this huge craft, which I also colorized. And this is what it looked like at a side view. You can see the yellow, green-yellow crescent part at the right. Once again, the B-52's radios, they had 2 radios, would not transmit during this close approach. The B-52 continued on and landed at 4:40 a.m. When checked later, the radios functioned perfectly. This is a good example of remote control by UFOs, as recorded in many other UFO cases. A little later, at 4:49 a.m., at the Oscar 7 silo, both the inner and outer alarms sounded. A security alert team was dispatched and discovered that the front gate had been unpadlocked and an access hatch was standing open, but they found no other evidence of intruders. Now, my brother-in-law told me that the 2 alarms had gone off, that the inner alarm was only supposed to sound if the concrete cap on the silo were disturbed. That cap weighs some, I forget, 20 or 40 tons. So here they're saying it was an access hatch, not the concrete cap, and I'm not sure which is the truth here. It's conceivable that when Project Blue Book released their files that they altered this for some reason. This much of this information comes from the Blue Book files in the National Archives. Of note is that the Air Force investigation that followed these incidents, in this investigation, the Blue Book investigators did not interview the B-52 crew members during the official investigation. Now, there were 18 men on the ground that saw this, and then the pilot and co-pilot of the B-52 and some other airmen who were in the cockpit area. One of these airmen said something like, you know, I can't see this. I'm going to interview Alpha Airlines tomorrow for a pilot position. And he went below where he wouldn't see the thing. So he could deny that he had seen a UFO. That gives you an example of how the ridicule that the government fostered about UFOs was really putting the damper on people talking about it. Anyway, Project Blue Book was really a public relations gambit. And the investigators of this Minot incident were looking for all possibilities of explaining these reports. And I should say the investigators for any UFO incident that was reported, they were looking for all possibilities of explaining these reports away other than the obvious, which is advanced flying craft from who knows where was being reported. This case has a wealth of evidence, including a dozen scope photos which show the UFO blip. In one case, the blip is larger than a KC-47 tanker, the big tanker. I can't remember the number for sure. But I don't have the copies of the radar screens on this computer, so I can't show you those. I probably would not be that interesting to you anyway, but it's good evidence that there was an object there. So this case has a wealth of evidence, including an object that was visible simultaneously on 3 different radar sets. And then we have the B-52 radar scope photos, multiple electronic effects where the 2 radios wouldn't operate, sophisticated opening of high security locks on the missile silo, and documented visual sightings by multiple personnel, 18 personnel on the ground who were responsible for the nuclear defense of the United States. All of these observers were responsible for the nuclear defense of the United States. And there was about 100 pages on microfilm about this case in the National Archives. It was one of the better documented cases. The Air Force never explained these incidents satisfactorily. The only approach to an explanation in the Project Blue Book files is possible plasma. This is not a good explanation from the electrical standpoint because plasma, like many natural phenomena, also known as ball lightning, assumes a spherical form when it's unrestrained and just out in the open. It does not have an egg shape with a silvery tube bearing a yellow-green glowing crescent extending from one end. To me, the most logical theory is that some of these UFOs are craft built by extraterrestrial aliens. The recorded performance capabilities of these craft far exceeded those of man-made craft beginning in the 1940s and later. And in many cases, it still has not been matched by humans as far as we know. These capabilities point to technology so far advanced as to make it extremely desirable to advanced nations on Earth. But any country that believes some UFOs have high technology would be wise to keep this a secret to prevent it from falling into unfriendly hands. Crashes of UFOs especially should be kept secret as long as possible. This meant keeping UFOs a secret even from the armed forces, including the Air Force. Unfortunately, this resulted in a number of incidents, including crashes. Okay, I see now it's 10 after, well, it's not quite 10 after 4. I originally felt that my Minot presentation didn't have as many slides as I wanted. I couldn't find my longer presentation. And so I decided to add a little bit more about the Roswell case, some two aspects of it, which I'm one of the few people who were privy to it. And probably none of you have heard this before. It's possible that some of you older timers have, but anyway, first, there was a document that appeared in the MUFON journal a few years ago called 47 pages from the DIA. Why should we care? Well, DIA, of course, is Defense Intelligence Agency. And in the December 2018 issue of the MUFON journal, there was an article with the above title. It tells how in June of 2017, Heather Wade, former host of the Midnight in the Desert radio show, received a copy of a document by email from an unknown source and shared it with MUFON. It purports to be a briefing paper for a new incoming member of the MJ-12 group. This document has been studied by some experts who have found nothing to disprove its authenticity. In fact, MUFON's John Schuessler recognized the signature of a former professor of his as a recipient of this briefing document. In other words, his former professor was being inducted into MJ-12. This document agrees with the correlated picture of the UFO situation I've built up over 40 years. I have, over 70 years, I should say. I have high confidence that the DIA document is accurate and is genuine. This document, this MJ-12 briefing document, states that the July 1947 Roswell crash was of an extraterrestrial craft, and that the 4 occupants didn't survive the crash. A crash of another craft followed in March 1948 near Aztec, New Mexico. Several beings appearing to be human, including children, were found on board the crashed craft, but these were in suspended animation at a low temperature. Of these, 3 babies and 1 adult, a male, were successfully revived. The adult was found to speak perfect English with a slight accent. Conversations with this ET were held over an 11-month period with various interrogators. The document has a condensation, that's the 47 pages from the DIA, has a condensation of several conversations with the ET, whom they termed an extrabiological entity, or EBE, in the paper. These conversations cover 7 pages, so I can only give you a taste of them here. I'll preface each question with Q for questioner. Question: why are you here? ET: specifically to bring you these children, and we like trees. Q: would you mind expanding on that? Certainly. In what direction? You see, we would hate to see you blow up such a pretty little planet, to ruin so many nice trees. If you only knew how hard it is to make a tree from scratch. People are easy. They follow naturally, but not without trees, of course. Green things must be respected above all else except children. and are very much alike. Q, what are the intentions of your government by sending you here? Who sent you here and why? If this isn't the first time, evidenced by your familiarity with English, why haven't these been official contacts? Why haven't there been official contacts made? Well, in reverse order, my answers are what and be strung up from one of those beautiful trees. Why? Because you sent us an invitation we could not resist for our own curiosity as well as safety. And we sent ourselves, or I volunteered, take your pick, and we have no government. I don't understand. E.T., I know that. Try laughing. You will still not understand, but you will feel better about your ignorance. The E.T. went on to explain that famed inventor, engineer Nikola Tesla sent a signal in 1899 that humans should not have been capable of sending. Here are a couple of paragraphs from Wikipedia which tell what Tesla did and also the result. Colorado Springs. There, Tesla conducted experiments with a large coil operating in the megavolts range, producing artificial lightning and thunder, consisting of millions of volts and up to 135 feet long discharges, and at one point inadvertently burned out the generator in El Paso, causing a power outage. See the next page. Credit from to Wikipedia. For this final experiment, Tesla discharged a high voltage pulse into a 60-foot tall copper mast every 1500ths of a second, the time it takes a radio wave to go around the Earth. The wave from the antenna went around the Earth and came back to the antenna, producing a voltage in it at the same time that Tesla discharged the next voltage, in effect almost doubling the voltage. Soon, large sparks were jumping off the top of the mast, which built up into lightning bolts. Tesla was dancing for joy as the bolts grew bigger and bigger when suddenly the power went out. Tesla immediately called the El Paso power station and shouted at them, "Why did you cut my power?" The reply was, "Mr. Tesla, we didn't cut your power. You burned out our generator." During his time at this laboratory, Tesla observed unusual signals from his receiver, which he speculated to be communications from another planet. He mentioned them in a letter to a reporter in December 1899 and to the Red Cross Society in December 1900. Reporters treated it as a sensational story and jumped to the conclusion Tesla was hearing signals from Mars. And I'll credit Wikipedia for this. Tesla expanded on the signals he heard in a 9th February 1901 Collier's Weekly article, Talking with Planets, where he said it had not been immediately apparent to him that he was hearing intelligently controlled signals and that the signals could come from Mars, Venus, or other planets. End of Wikipedia quote. The briefing document made it plain that while the ETs had been visiting this planet for thousands of years, their home on a large spacecraft was at a great distance from the Earth in 1899. That's when they received Tesla's signal. The ETs sent a reply immediately, which Tesla received. So they had to be able to send a reply possibly faster than the speed of light. We don't know about that for sure. But Tesla received this reply, and the Wikipedia story tells about it. And per the ET, they sent a message to Marconi also, which he recognized as extraterrestrial. That's also recorded historically. But the ETs got no reply from Marconi or Tesla, and the signal that Tesla sent, unknown to Tesla, had generated a form of energy which caused big problems on some distant planets. So the ETs decided to visit Earth again, but they were at such a distance that it took 22 years. They arrived in 1922. Since they are long-lived and often travel in cryogenic suspension, time and distance and space distance is no problem. The ET explained that his people has visited Earth before, but that humans had forgotten this. And again, from the 47 pages of the DIA, question for the ET, I don't see how we could forget you. Are you serious? And the ET replies, very seldom. But yes, your culture, which now dominates this civilization, did forget us. Actually, your people seem to have undergone a period of history in which you were so afraid of old truths that you erased them. Some of your people remembered us orally in their legends, such as those who speak the Kuel or the Narragansett or the Athabascan dialects. They lived where we last visited. Questioner, I've never heard of them. ET, not surprising. Your history shows that the conquerors seldom preserve any history of their victims. I speak of the natives in your land mass, those called Indians, mostly on your eastern and southern borders, and in the ribbon of land that connects you to the southern continent. Navajo, Aztecs, Incas, the Olmecs, and the Toltec cultures. These were all greater than your own civilization at a time when you were burning witches. Of course, you drove the Native Americans mad and destroyed them with venereal diseases and smallpoxes, those that you didn't slaughter for their gold. Oh. E.T. And your social pundits speculate and joke about why we don't land in front of your nation's Capitol buildings and shake hands. We are not insane. Q, but we have changed. Western civilization is now the leader in this world for freedom and humanity. E.T., two things. First, we believe that, or we wouldn't be here. Also, tell that to the millions of Hebrews your Western civilization has destroyed in the last decade, the 1940s, or the millions of Negro families whose sons died to stop the madman Hitler, but who do not have plumbing in their homes. Yes, you make progress. That is hopeful for you. Here's another quote from the ET. We write poems and express ourselves with works of art just as you do. Many of the greatest works of construction on your world were inspired by a joyful effort of our people and yours in your distant past. We leave these wherever we go, and you romantic creatures have tried for many generations to explain why such huge monuments to human engineering were ever built in the first place. The upshot of these and other discussions with the ETs is that, per the briefing document, a treaty was drafted by the MJ-12 Directorate and a joint committee of extraterrestrial visitors, plus representatives of the U.S. Diplomatic Corps. It was signed at Kirtland Air Force Base, Texas, on July 18, 1954, by President Dwight D. Eisenhower and an individual on behalf of the ETs. It reads, insofar as no threat, either implied nor expressed, and either of a military, civil, or societal nature, has been forwarded by the visitation of the Association of Visiting Extraterrestrials against the governments and the peoples of these United States of America, and insofar as great and many cultural, technical advances have been derived by such exchange, we hereby grant full, complete diplomatic status and recognition to these individuals from beyond our world. Furthermore, let it be known that we seek to provide shelter, comfort, and aid in all their peaceful endeavors, so far as these are respective of the laws of our land and the right to self-determination and free will expressed in our national constitution. And until such time as the objectives or methods of either parties in this agreement shall deem otherwise, This bond between our people shall remain in effect. Between MUFON and other organizations, there are hundreds of thousands of vetted UFO reports on record. Common characteristics are high maneuverability, extreme acceleration and speed, seeming to define physical laws, but often with no sound or only low sounds. I've developed a correlated picture of the UFO situation based on a lifetime of study. In the case of UFOs, there are massive amounts of evidence available, and the probability is very high based on this evidence that many of the objects we're dealing with are craft of an unconventional and extraterrestrial nature and under intelligent control. The intelligent beings in control of these craft are of a wide variety. Patrick Haig, in his book Field Guide to the Extraterrestrials, documents about 50 different species or races. The reasons ET aliens visit us would be expected to vary with each particular race or species. The 47-page MJ-12 briefing document indicates that one goal shared by many of these races is to discourage violent, misbehaving races from going into space. We are presently such a race. Genetic efforts to reduce or eliminate our violent nature may be ongoing. Telepathic abilities said to be possessed by many ETs could increase our sympathy and understanding of our fellow beings, earthly and extraterrestrial. And now to a new account of the Roswell crash. A man called me a few years ago from Edina with a story. He had been told by a woman he met at a dollar store in July 1947 at the Roswell-based newspaper office. This woman, then a reporter photographer, was alerted by coworkers that something was going on at the base hospital. She rushed down to the hospital, went in, and found several small bodies in the intake room on gurneys. They looked like large dolls, she said. She started taking photos when an officer came in. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm taking photos," she said. The officer told her, "You can't do that." "Why not? I have a top secret clearance." "That's not enough. That's not high enough," he said. He took her camera and ordered her to leave and not to say a word about it. This woman lived in the York Towers in Edina, and I called her about this incident. She did not deny it, but said she had now learned that it was still classified and she would say no more. She asked me not to call her about this again, and so I agreed to do that. A story was told by the local Roswell undertaker, Glenn Dennis. This is more public knowledge. But after being sworn to secrecy, base doctors and a nurse were ordered to perform an autopsy on at least one of the bodies. The nurse was a friend of Dennis. The next day, she phoned Dennis and asked to meet with him. She told him about the events and drew a sketch of the head and hands of one of the bodies of the aliens on a napkin. Here's the drawings by Glenn Dennis based on sketches by his nurse friend. The nurse's sketch shows two views of the head of one of the Roswell aliens. These are different from the 47 pages alien, which was outwardly indistinguishable from humans, because this alien's hand lacks a thumb and had a grouping of what appeared to be suction cups on each fingertip. This suggests a humanoid evolving from perhaps an amphibious creature similar to earthly tree frogs. A few years ago, Bob Schultz and I interviewed Ralph Anderson, a former dean of then Northwestern College in Roseville. Anderson told us, and this was all videotaped at a public television station, Anderson told us that he was stationed at the Roswell Army Air Force Base in July of 1947. On a Saturday early in July, an announcement came over the speaker system ordering all in the barracks to fall out, exit the barracks. Outside, they were told that there had been a crash and they asked for volunteers to help clean up the wreckage. The volunteers, which included Anderson, were ordered to form a line. The officer had them count off 60 men, which was the number they wanted to clean up the wreckage. They missed Anderson by only 2 men, so he stayed behind in the barracks. But he was there when the cleanup crew came back at the end of the day. Against orders, some of the men had secreted small pieces of the wreckage in their pockets. Anderson especially remembers one piece which looked like an ordinary foil, but when squeezed into a ball and set down on a flat surface, would uncrumple itself until it was perfectly flat again with no crease lines. When this foil was placed on a wooden footlocker and struck with the sharp edge of a maul, it would crease, but then iron itself out again and be perfectly flat. And it certainly wasn't cut by the maul. Under Colonel Blanchard's orders, Major Marcel prepared a press release saying the Roswell Army Air Force Airfield had in their possession a flying saucer. He gave this to Lieutenant Walter Haught at noon to carry over to the Roswell Daily Record, who ran it in their evening edition as a front page story. Then, Anderson said, Blanchard changed his mind and released a story that the wreckage was only a weather balloon. Anderson recognizes General Roger Ramey as the source of Blanchard's change of mind. Under Colonel Blanchard's orders, back on the base, per Dean Anderson, the airmen who had cleaned up the site were ordered to hand over all pieces of the crash debris under threat of imprisonment. As far as Anderson knows, everyone complied. Obviously, a cover-up was in full swing. The government military cover-up was effective. The press and public, all over the U.S., accepted the weather balloon explanation, including me. I heard it over the radio at the time. And the saucer crash story seemed to be over. But the Roswell crash story was not over. In 1950, Frank Scully published his book, Behind the Flying Saucers. This told of a crash near Aztec, New Mexico, and caused new interest in the Roswell crash. Others began to investigate. At present, per Donald V. Schmidt, over 1,000 witnesses to Roswell have been located. It is one of the best documented cases. So that ends my formal presentation, and I'm open to questions.
Of course, you can put questions in the chat. I think we got a question come up here. Or no?
Just bring it up.
Any questions in the room? And we're checking the chat. Oh, they're questioning the 1,000 witnesses that you had on the screen, Bill?
Was that a question?
Yeah, they were questioning the 1,000 witnesses you had listed on the screen. Oh, I guess you're just commenting.
Ah,
The
you're,
source
you're-
of the MJ-12 documents we were talking about.
$47 pages.
Did you hear that, Bill?
no, what's the question?
Where was the source of the MJ-12 documents you were referring to?
The source was Heather Wade, was received photocopies of an alleged microfilm, and of course she printed them and then gave them. She gave this to MUFON. So it's a leaked document. It's alleged. It itself alleges to be a secret document, which has been leaked. And you can't absolutely prove whether it's genuine or not. But John Schuessler believes that it is. And I think John has some pretty good grounds since he recognized his former professor's signature on this document. And his former professor was a person with some technical knowledge that would have been very useful to the MJ-12, to the Majestic 12 group, as far as studying these craft and learning about their technology.
Eric, ask them where we can find that 47-page document.
Is there somebody, is there somewhere where we can find this 47-page document?
Repeat the question for me, please.
Is there somewhere we can find this document to review it?
Sorry, there's somebody with an unmuted mic was talking while you were asking. Tom, can you?
Yeah, is there some
relay
place
the
where you
question?
can find the 47-page document?
Yes. Do a Google search for 47 pages from the DIA. Also, the only way you can get it now is the so-called Internet Archives. You probably need a special link for that. You might be able to Google it though and get it. 47 pages from the DIA. That's what you need to Google. Now, when you get it, it will be photographs of the original microfilm. And these are hard to read in some cases. John Schuessler spent a long time reading this and transcribing it. And some of the words he was not able to read. I actually was able to read one of the words he wasn't able to read. One of the final words quoted from this ET was, we hope to meet you, human beings, someday. I'm quoting this loosely. We hope to meet you, humans, someday as friends and equals. Any more questions?
No.
Nope, not seeing any more, Bill.
Okay.
Wait, hang on, wait, we got one more question.
Whatever happened to the ET?
Yeah, whatever happened to the EDE?
Oh, the EBA, about a year and a half after he was captured, he was allowed to rejoin his people. There was a meeting somewhere in the Southwest where there was a craft landing and he was taken back, I believe. Anyway, that's what happened. He was allowed to join his companions.
So Bill, do we know what happened to the children that was found with the EDE?
No, we don't know, except one of the scientists asked him, what should we do with these babies? And the ET replied, raise them. They were intended for Earth, raise them well. We have no patience with people who do not raise their children well. So my guess is that they were given false papers, were adopted by these scientists or somebody in these scientists' families, and some of them may be walking among us to this day because we're talking about 1948. The ET said we would have a rich harvest from these 3 babies. So he expected great things from these grown-up humans. He said they were humans in all respect.
Well, it sounds like we've got no more questions. So Bill, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I always appreciate your presentations. Give Bill a big round of applause, everybody. And you guys online, you can do your applause too with the little clip button on there, your reaction button. So cool. Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. So it looks like that's going to wrap us up for our meeting this month. We'll be back again on the second Saturday of February for another, again, What's Up in Minnesota, and hearing from Russ Kellett. And hopefully we'll have all of our little technical problems figured out and stuff by then. So thank you all for coming out. Appreciate having you here. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Until next time, everybody, keep your eyes on the skies, and we are out of here. Bye-bye. Talking to you.